Sorry.
Okay.
And my general surgery residency was also at USF in Tampa.
All right. And did you have an occasion to treat a patient by the name of Daniel Markel?
Yes, I did.
And what was Mr. Markel's condition upon admission to the hospital?
Extremely critical.
All right. And I'm going to show you a photograph which has been introduced into evidence as states 23. This is how Mr. Markel appeared upon his arrival at the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm noticing some swelling and disfigurement to the face. If you could just hold that up and explain what it is that we're observing there.
There were two penetrating injuries, one to the mid-forehead, one to the cheek, just inferior to the orbit or the eye. There was generalized swelling and bruising of both eyes and the mid-face. He has a breathing tube and an ET tube that was placed during his resuscitation, and again, generalized bleeding from the nose, ears, and eyes.
What medical intervention was attempted to assist Mr. Markel?
Again, he had a breathing tube placed to establish an airway. He was maintaining his blood pressure on his own, but he did undergo full trauma evaluation and resuscitation, including laboratory values, imaging, and administration of IV fluids and basic life support.
Was Mr. Markel pronounced deceased under your care?
He was.
When was he pronounced deceased?
Approximately 12 to 14 hours following his admission.
All right. And so that would be July 19th?
Correct. I think just after midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning or thereabouts.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross.
No question, Mr. President.
Take that one.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Any juror have a question of this witness? All right. You can step down. Do we need to keep her any further?
No, sir.
All right. Anybody need her any further?
No, Your Honor.
You're excused. Thank you for being here. Call your next witness.
The state calls Dr. Anthony Clark.
All right. Would you face the clerk and raise your right hand, please, sir?
You swear or testimony about giving the case for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I did.
All right. Have a seat and slide up the microphone, please, sir.
Please introduce yourself and spell your name.
Dr. Anthony J. Clark, Anthony, Anthony, J. Clark, Clark.
How are you employed, Dr. Clark?
I'm employed by KWB Pathology Associates as an associate medical examiner for the District 2 Medical Examiner's Office here in Tallahassee. I also have duties as an autopsy pathologist for TMH, or Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare.
How long have you been employed in that capacity?
I started at KWB in 2007 on August 1st.
Could you tell us a little bit about your training and education?
I obtained my Bachelor of Science degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I did 2 years of animal research at MIT, and then I was accepted to the Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia. I graduated from the college and did a 2-year general surgical internship at New Britain General Hospital in New Britain, Connecticut. I then went to the Hartford Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut, and did 4 years of anatomic and clinical pathology. I then traveled down to Atlanta, Georgia, where I did a 2-year forensic pathology fellowship with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office and associated with Emory University. I graduated from that program and got my first job as the Southwest Regional Medical Examiner in the multi-crime lab for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Division of Forensic Science. I remained in that position from 1994 to 2007 and then traveled down to District 2. I am a licensed physician in the state of Georgia and Florida.
And what are your duties as a medical examiner here in Florida?
As a medical examiner, I'm involved with the death investigation. I'm the one that performs the examination of the decedent to determine the cause and manner of death.
How many autopsies have you performed in your career?
It's over 6,500.
Have you ever testified as an expert in a court of law?
Yes, I have,
How many times?
over a couple hundred times.
And was that always in the area of forensic pathology?
Yes, ma'am.
What is forensic pathology?
Pathology is the study of tissues, whether it's plant tissue or human tissue, looking for obvious signs of disease or pathology or abnormalities. Forensic pathology is the ability to present that in court.
Judge, at this time, I would tender Dr. Clark as an expert in the area of forensic pathology.
Either side wishes for to argue.
No objection, Judge. Can't argue that experience, no, Your Honor.
All right, Dr. Clark, did you conduct the autopsy of Dan Markel?
Yes, I did.
When was that autopsy conducted?
The autopsy was performed on July 19, 2014 at 11:55 hours.
Where was the autopsy conducted?
This autopsy was performed at the Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare morgue.
Did you take photographs during the course of the autopsy?
Yes, I did.
Would the use of those photographs assist in your testimony here today?
Yes, they would.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as States Exhibits 26 through 35, absent 27. So 26, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35.
Okay. Yes, I do recognize these photographs.
How do you recognize them?
These are the photographs I took at the time of the autopsy.
Are they fair and accurate photographs of the autopsy as you conducted it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence states, I believe it's 26 through 35.
You said you pulled 27, was your
in there.
initial
I
comment?
just think I have it out of order, so it'll be 26 through 35.
All right. Is there objection?
No objection, Judge.
All right.
No objection, Your Honor.
They'll be admitted.
May I publish?
You may.
All right, Doctor, I'd like to just kind of have you explain to the jury how an autopsy begins and then walk us through the autopsy of Mr. Markel using these photographs to assist you. So how would you begin an examination?
Well, actually, a medical examiner investigation starts with information. So I received the call about the death of this individual, and then they put the body in a body bag that's brought down to the morgue. And then I began by checking what's on the outside of the bag, and then open the bag and start taking photographs and start making my observations. In gunshot wounds, we always take x-rays because we're interested to see if there's any remaining bullets in the body, and if there are, where they are located. So we'll do x-rays on the shooting. We start on the outer, externally, documenting any clothing, personal effects, medical devices, injuries. Then we do things like height, weight, eye color, that kind of thing to show what the individual looked like. And then we start what's called the internal examination, where we open up the head, neck, chest, and abdomen. And if there's external trauma, what happened to the internal organs from that trauma, if any. Natural disease is a big factor in the cases that I do. Bad heart disease or lung disease, etc. We also collect specimens for toxicology. We collect specimens for DNA studies if needed, and whatever other ancillary studies may be needed. We fingerprint everybody now, and there's some other things like that.
Okay, I want to start with States Exhibit 26 and ask you to explain to the jury what we're looking at here. I believe the judge will let you know.
He's got the pointer.
States Exhibit 26 is an X-ray, what we call a AP X-ray of the head. You can see the top of the head here. This is the jaw, right side, left side. And within this, you can see that there's some wider spots here and here. These are the bullets that I eventually recovered. So I had an idea where this bullet is. Now I have an idea where this bullet is. Also, there's some fracturing going on here on the side of the face, which it's hard to point out from this distance. But so right now, this is the main reason why I'm getting these X-rays, to show that there are bullets still in him and that they are still there, and they're a good size too.
And you mentioned having extracted these bullets from Mr. Markel's body, but they've been turned over to law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
States Exhibit 27?
Okay, so the first one is basically front to back, and this is a side picture to show me exactly where this first bullet is here. So it was up here, and it's towards the back of the cranial vault, okay? And then this one's right here, showing it here. There's larger pieces here, but we're interested in gathering this bullet and this bullet right here.
And when you say larger pieces referring to this, is this part of the bullet as well?
Yes, ma'am, that looks like a large fragment there. Now remember that this is somewhat magnified to the way we take these x-rays, so that piece is not as big as it looks in real life.
State's Exhibit 28.
State's Exhibit 28 is showing, this is what we call the identification photograph to show his face. Well, you want to turn it 90 degrees? Sure. Just, yeah, I think it might be easier just to explain it, yeah. And so I...
Zoom out at all, but is that okay?
Yeah, and we put the identifying tag down here with the case number, the date, and my initials should be down here. And we've cleaned up the face as best we can, but this is what we call the identification photograph. Now, in this identification photograph, you can see there's quite a bit of trauma to the face, and there's distortion of the left side of the face, quite a bit of swelling going on here, bruising going on inside the tissues here, what we call raccoon eyes or bilateral eye bruises here and here. There's a gunshot wound here, and there's a gunshot wound here. So there's two separate gunshot wounds that we're looking at here.
State's 29.
State's Exhibit 29 is showing one of the gunshot wounds to the left cheek area. You can see it is right here. You can see the bruising in the tissue back here. And this bullet actually traveled from here and wound up just under the tissues here, inside, below this left ear here. Now, the interesting thing is these large areas of abrasion. They're irregular, and some are small, some are large, and they kind of scatter onto the ear, come in a band this way, onto the nose, and you can see that there's some on the upper neck here. This is what I called the report pseudo-stippling. Stippling is something that occurs from gunfire because there are burning and unburnt particles of gunpowder coming out. And when they hit the skin, that actually causes abrasions. Now, when you shoot through a door or a window, you're fragmenting the wood or the glass, causing other debris to fly out. So to me, this is a pseudo-stippling or glass abrasions from when the first bullet went through the glass and caused these injuries here. Stage 30 is showing the left side of the neck to emphasize the pseudo-stippling. Now, pseudo-stippling, again, tends to be more irregular and larger. When you get stippling from gunpowder, it's very minute and very, what do you want to call it, homogeneous in terms of the size.
So regular in terms of size?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 31.
And can you blow that up? Well, this is the forehead area here. Could you turn it 90 degrees, though? That might be helpful just to...
This way?
No. The other way. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, State's Exhibit, which was this? What State Exhibit? I'm sorry, I missed.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's 31.
31 is showing the forehead area. What we're seeing here is the second gunshot wound here. Okay? And you can see it's quite a bit of a mess here. And I'll explain to you in a minute why that is. But this is where the bullet ended here, and that's the bullet that winds up in the back of the inside of the skull that you saw in the X-ray. Okay, so this one here, this is irregular because he was wearing a pair of glasses at the time he was shot. So just like I'm standing here looking at you right now, that bullet hit those glasses, and when he hit those glasses, and I believe there were plastic frames from what I could see in the pictures, they broke open the plastic and caused, like, you know, a cue ball hit and a rack of balls to disperse the plastic, and that plastic went and just popped that hole. So you didn't get a nice round hole, but you got more of a ragged hole there because of that. And also up here, if you could magnify that a little bit, can you move in? No? Okay. There was some fine stippling up in here. There's some kind of irregular ones up here, which may be part from the glasses being exploding here.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. Now you see all these little dots here? That is gunpowder stippling. Can you see the difference from the larger irregular abrasions? This is real fine stuff here. And to me, that puts the gun at a closer range, or there's no window there, or intermediate target as we call it, so that this puts it in a shorter range of gunfire. And that's usually up to 18 to 24 inches that you're seeing that. It can be closer. The only way to really tell is to get the weapon, the same ammunition, and do some test firing from different distances, which the firearm people do and I don't.
Okay, so the smaller marks that we're seeing there were caused by the hot powder that came out of the barrel of the firearm.
The burning and unburned gunpowder, yes, ma'am.
And that's how we know that the gun was within 18 inches of Mr. Markel's head at the time it was fired?
Yes, ma'am, 18 to 24 inches.
And then the larger mark there, am I understanding you correctly, that that was caused by glass or plastic from the glasses?
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 32.
Okay, State's Exhibit 32 is showing the left eye area here. There's quite a bit of swelling here on both eyes, and that's usually due to the base of the skull, what I call the base of the skull being fractured and bleeding into the tissues, and it collects in the eyes. Also, there's the gunshot wound here, regular one here, and the one here. Also, if you look at the eyes, and again, if you get the pictures in your hands, you can look at them better. But there's no stippling or glass injury to that because the glasses were actually protecting the glass from hitting his eyes. And then the second bullet hit here. That didn't cause any kind of injuries to the eyes.
Okay, so dumb question, but the discoloration to the eyes don't indicate that he was in some kind of fist fight.
No, ma'am. This is due to the base of the skull fractures.
So consistent with being caused by the gunshot wound.
That's correct.
State's Exhibit 33.
Okay, State's Exhibit 33, this is the back of the left mid forearm, about right here. The elbow is down here, the wrist is over here, so this is the back of his arm here. And what you're seeing here is a curvilinear or curved line deposit of soot, and then you're seeing pseudo-stippling again. Again, this is not gunpowder stippling. I kept trying to see whether, I kept looking at, trying to see whether this was really truly gunpowder stippling, but it's not. There's too much irregularity and difference in sizes of this, so I believe it was due to either glass or plastic from the glasses.
All right, and the dark mark is consistent with stippling from the gun?
The dark mark is soot, and that's a deposition from the gun itself.
And would that be consistent with Mr. Markel having his arm raised when the gun was fired?
Yes, ma'am. It's my opinion that after the first shot through the window, striking him here, causing all that glass to shatter and strike him on the face, that he reflexively brought up his arm in a defensive type posture, and that the gun was in range to cause, when it hit the glasses there, that when this shattered, it went on the back of the forearm here, and then there's a deposit of the soot there. Now, I don't believe that soot is from the barrel of the gun, but from what we call a cylinder gap. That there may have been a revolver used in this case, and that the gap between where the cylinder is and the barrel, gases can come out there and soot can come out there too, and that could cause this kind of curvy linear soot deposit there.
And would a soot deposit from a cylinder gap also be consistent with a close range shot as you previously described?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know where the arm was in relationship, but it had to be close enough that when the glasses got hit by the bullet, that shattering plastic struck the skin far enough. So if you were like this, I think that's too far away, but within inches of that area.
All right, and you described what your opinion is the first shot would be the one that came in the cheek and ended up near the ear area?
That's correct.
Would that shot alone have been fatal, Mr. Markel?
No, ma'am. I don't think it, I know it wasn't, and he's got quite a bit of bruising there. It may have stunned him and disoriented him, but I believe he was still alive to be able to put his arm up also and have this injury associated with the shot to the between the eyes there.
State's Exhibit 34.
Okay, State's Exhibit 34 is a picture of the bullet. I always try to we'll clean the bullet up and show the bullet itself, and you can see it's from gunshot wound number 2, which is to the cheek here. And if you compare it to the X-ray, you saw that it was kind of almost barrel-shaped or squared off type of bullet, and it's pretty well intact here. So that's the bullet there.
All right, so gunshot wound number 2 is what you're calling it in this photograph, but it's your opinion that this bullet was fired first.
The gunshot wound number 1, yes, ma'am.
Okay. State Exhibit 35.
State's Exhibit 35, and you can see that this bullet's quite flattened out. This is the gunshot wound that went in between the eyes here and wound up in the brain back here. And in the x-ray, you saw that it was very flattened out, and that's what we recovered here.
All right, and this would have been the wound which caused Mr. Markel's death?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and is there any reason why the bullet in State's Exhibit 35 is so much more deformed than the one in State's Exhibit 34?
The bullet from gunshot wound number 2 in 34 hit mostly soft tissue. It did strike the bone, but it was going at a kind of like this and going along the bone. The other one was actually going through bone in this area here, had gone through the glasses too.
What, if anything, can you tell us about the trajectory of these bullets?
All I can talk about is the trajectory through the body themselves. And again, my orientation is the person lying on the table, what I call an anatomic position. They're looking forward, arms by their sides, toes pointed down. That's all I can tell you about that.
All right, so did you document as far as each shot, whether it was left to right, front to back, up, down, that kind of thing?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Okay.
Could you tell us, you may have already gone through it, but I'd like to go through that one more time. Let's start with the shot that is, in your opinion, the first shot to be fired.
Okay, the first shot to be fired in the autopsy report, again, is gunshot wound number 2. I tend to start from top to bottom. That's the left cheek and face. That traveled from front to back, very slightly down, and very slightly right to left. So it's going this way into the face.
All right, and the next one?
The one that I label as gunshot wound number 1 to this area here, what we call the glabella, went from front to back, slightly left to right, and slightly up. So it's coming in this way.
All right. And have you reviewed the scene photographs, including the ones of the window of Mr. Markel's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I want to show you photograph number 8. Not finding 8, but I'm thinking 17 will do. Publishing states 17. You talked. Sir? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did. You spoke about the glass and how the glass created the pseudo-stippling. Do you have an opinion as far as the glass and how it would impact the I think you called it an intermediate target. If you could explain what that means.
An intermediate target, it's just something between the muzzle of the gun and the final target. There's something in between. It could be a baseball cap, it could be a window, it could be a door, it could be a wall.
All right. And is the pseudo-stippling that you previously described the evidence that you're relying on to indicate that the victim was shot through this glass?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's consistent with the image in State's Exhibit 17, which you also reviewed?
That's correct.
Okay. One moment, please.
No.
All right, Dr. Clark, what was your opinion regarding the cause of death in this case?
The cause of death was written down as gunshot wounds of the face, head.
All right, and what was your ruling as to the manner of death in this case?
The manner of death was a homicide.
No further questions.
Cross.
Good afternoon, doctor. My name is Mauricio Padilla. I represent Mr. Garcia. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your testimony. Is that okay?
Okay.
In this particular case, did you use any trajectory rods?
I don't usually take pictures with rods in place. I probably did, but I don't remember specifically.
Okay. Could you explain to the jury exactly what a trajectory rod is?
It's a metallic rod that we use, or you can use any kind of materials, but then connect the dots basically. So you would take the rod, stick it in the entry wound, and follow it back to where it went into the brain, and that would show you the trajectory through the body there. Okay.
And whose decision would it be to use a trajectory rod or not to use it as a trajectory rod? Would that be your call as a doctor?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the decision not to memorialize the actual use of these trajectory rods, was that your decision?
Yes.
And in what percentage of cases do you memorialize the actual use of the trajectory rods as opposed to not use it?
2 gunshot wounds like this, and the bullets are recovered in the body. They're not really useful because I can tell the direction by looking at them. A lot of times I'll use trajectory rods when you have multiple gunshot wounds that are what we call perforating gunshot wounds. You got an entry and an exit, an entry and an exit, and I may memorialize those.
Okay. Did anyone provide you any information regarding the positioning of Mr. Markel when he was taken out of the vehicle?
I don't recollect. I know he was in the vehicle in the driver's side, but I don't know about his position.
Did you have any communication with members of either the state law enforcement or the FBI regarding the trajectory of the wounds in this case?
State or FBI? I do not.
Any law enforcement. Did you have any communication with any law enforcement regarding the trajectory of these wounds?
Well, yeah, the Tallahassee Police Department.
Okay. 1 second, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just to follow up, who would it have been that you had communication with regarding the trajectory of these wounds?
Investigator Scott Cherry and William Cornegay were at the autopsy, so I would discuss the trajectories with them through the body. And then whoever read the report would know.
But direct communication with yourself, it would have just been the 2 individuals that you just discussed, correct?
Yes, sir, as far as I know. If there was any follow-up conversations, I don't know anything about them.
1 moment. There's an investigator by the last name of Yao. Sean Yao, did you have any communication with him?
Yes, okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you have communication with him regarding the trajectory of these rounds?
Yes. He read the autopsy report and asked me about them.
Okay, and how did that conversation go?
We just
Hearsay?
Overruled.
Go, you can answer.
Yeah, we just talked about what the trajectory was through the body.
Okay, and when was that conversation? Did you have one conversation or multiple conversations?
Just one conversation. That was a couple of days ago.
Okay, and that was over the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he actually came by, probably within the last 2 weeks, he came by the office. And we discussed it, but we didn't really look at pictures or anything like that, and then we discussed it on the phone, because he hadn't read the autopsy report yet.
Okay, so he came in person to your office to discuss the trajectory, correct?
Right.
And then he called you on the phone?
Right.
And you're saying that the reason that he called you on the phone was because when he went to your office to discuss the trajectory of these rounds, he still had not reviewed the autopsy report?
At that point in time, and I think he was picking up a CD with the pictures on it.
The CD of the pictures that we've just seen here today? That the
Right, the autopsy photographs, yes, sir.
So you're saying that around 2 weeks ago when he went to your office, that Mr. Yao had not viewed those pictures and had not viewed the report, is that correct?
I believe that's true, yes, sir.
Okay. And then you discussed it with him?
Right.
And then he told you, I'm going to review the report and I'm going to call you back. Is that correct?
No, I didn't say anything about calling me back, but he did call me back.
Okay, and so what was the purpose of that phone call, in your opinion?
Just to talk about the trajectory on that, through the body.
What about the trajectory?
to confirm that that's what I was talking about.
Because that wasn't discussed during your your in-person meeting?
Right, because he hadn't read the autopsy report yet.
Right. As a medical examiner, is it odd that at this late stage in the
Well, that's
investigation?
not an appropriate question. Anything else?
One moment. Just one last question. When was your autopsy report available to law enforcement, if you can give us a date?
I finalized the autopsy on August 25th, 2014.
And is that around the time that you would have made it available to law enforcement?
Right, at that time, when I sign off on it, then it gets mailed out probably within 7 to 10 days after that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor.
No problem.
McVanwell,
No question, Your Honor.
redirect.
No, Your Honor.
All right, any juror have a question of this witness? All right, you step down. Do we need to keep him further?
He may be released.
Either side need him?
Not for Mr. Garcia, Judge.
Right.
No, Your Honor.
All right, you're excused. Thank you, Tim. Call your next witness.
Yes. State calls Len Harvey.
Sometimes in between witnesses, some jurors would like to stand up, stretch if you feel the need to do so. Feel free. Sometimes I like to stand up every once in a while, particularly after lunch. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle. Let's face the clerk and be sworn, please, sir.
I swear affirm testimony about giving this case, the truth, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God.
Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please.
I'm sorry?
Slide up to the microphone.
Sir, please state your name and spell your name.
Okay, it's Len H. Harvey, first name Len, L-E-N, middle initial H, and H-A-R-V-E-Y.
How are you employed, Mr. Harvey?
I'm the director and I oversee Premier Health and Fitness Center.
How long have you been doing that?
January will be 33 years.
All right, and are you familiar with the security video cameras that were present at Premier Gym around the time of July 2014?
I am.
And can you discuss let me ask you first if you've had an opportunity to review a disc of the images captured in reference to this case on your business's security cameras.
I have.
All right, I'm going to approach the state's 124. Mr. Harvey, are you able to recognize this disc as the disc that you reviewed in reference to this case?
Yes, I put my initials there.
All right, and did this disc contain fair and accurate images as captured by the surveillance system there at Premier Gym?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can you discuss the process that gave rise to these images? How does it work? How do the cameras work?
Well, we have 10 cameras outside on top of our building, and then we have 6 cameras inside our building. And they record to the hard drive in my office.
Do the cameras all record continuously, or are they motion activated?
No, they run around the clock.
And you said the info that's collected by these cameras is stored in your office?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and for how long is the information stored in your office?
Approximately 30 days.
And were the cameras that you discussed that are located there at the gym, were those in proper working order back in July of 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Judge, at this time, I would ask to introduce the video, State's Exhibit 124.
Was there a date with that? Do you know what the date of this was?
I believe, to the best of my knowledge, it was July 18th.
Okay. Is it noted?
Yes, July 18th, 2015, 14, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any objection to State's Exhibit 124?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll reserve publication of this item, and I have no further questions.
All right. Cross. Go, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
All right. And juror, I have a question of this witness. All right. If not, you can step down. Do we need to keep him any further?
No, sir.
Anybody need him for any reason?
No, Judge.
All right. You're excused.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next witness.
State calls Andrew Brown.
If you would face the clerk here and raise your right hand to be sworn, please.
You swear affirm testimony about giving this case to be true, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God? Yes, ma'am, sir.
Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please, sir.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Andrew Brown,
All right, please spell your name.
ANDREWBROWN.
Where are you employed, sir?
Star Metro City, Tallahassee.
All right, is that the bus
You
system?
can point that microphone up just a hair. We had a shorter witness there. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
It's the city bus system?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you employed in the same capacity back in July of 2014?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
All right, are you familiar with the video cameras that are located on city buses or that were located on city buses at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, could you discuss where cameras are mounted on the buses?
The buses, you have 8 cameras on the buses. You have 2 on each side that face backwards. You have 1 that faces forward from the driver so you can see it out in front. You have 1 facing on the driver so you can see the fare box. You have 1 on the back door, and then you have 1 facing backwards.
All right, and are these cameras running all the time, or do they get activated by motion? How do they work?
Once you start the bus up, they're running.
All right, and where is the data collected that's captured by these cameras?
It's on a hard drive that's located on the bus.
All right, and do you know approximately how long the data is stored on the hard drive of the bus?
The cameras with the 9-camera system, about roughly 30 days.
And do you know whether, and I want to direct your attention specifically to bus 505 and 707 on July 18th, 2014. Do you know whether the cameras on those buses at that time were in proper working order?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And have you had an opportunity to review disc, which I've marked as State's Exhibit 125?
Yes, ma'am, those are my initials.
All right, and does this disc contain very accurate copies of the images collected by those buses on that date and time?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence State's 125.
Any objection?
None from the defense. No objection.
All right. Will be admitted.
All right, Judge, I will reserve publication of this item, and I have no further questions.
Cross.
I'd like to play this video, Judge.
I would object to the defense.
It's moved into evidence.
Play.
Judge, if we could just take a short break so I can make.
We're not going to take a break. The state's going to publish it at some point. I thought you were ready to publish it.
Well, I don't know.
All right.
We have to set up our material.
Right. We're not going to stop for that at this point in time. Do you have any cross to this witness?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Mr. Brown, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm doing good. So I'm going to ask you a few quick questions. So the images that are captured here are videos, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it's a live streaming video, correct? Real time?
Real time, yes.
Okay. And so the videos are situated throughout the bus, from the front of the bus to the back of the bus, correct?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of the videos?
Purpose for the videos in the bus is in case there's any sort of accident or incident on the bus, we're able to record and copy, give to police, or if there's a complaint on the bus driver, we're able to view and see if the complaint is valid or not.
Now, what's the quality of the video? Is there like a specific level of quality that the video has?
As in, I mean, it's not HDMI, it's not high def.
Well, that's the question I had. Is it, what kind of resolution, if you have that knowledge, is the video?
I don't have that knowledge.
Now, the video that you have, these are your initials on this, sir, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, let me finish the question, I'm sorry. Exhibit 125, your initials are AJB on this, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've watched this video and you watched it with the government, correct?
Yes, sir.
You sat down in front of a computer with Ms. Kappelman? Was it Ms. Kappelman?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
It's okay. The facial, you're right. So you sat down with somebody from the state attorney's office, or was it a law
Yes.
enforcement officer?
State investigator.
Okay, so you sat down with a state investigator and they played the video for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did the video show you?
It shows bus at the bus stop at McClay, I think it's McClay Boulevard and Thomasville Road. You see a Prius pass in front of it. As it goes forward, you can see the bus going to Thomasville Road going southbound.
Yes, sir.
The bus catches back up to the Prius, and you're able to see the Prius get into the left turn lane to make the left turn off of Thomasville Road onto Benton.
To your recollection, are you able to see inside the Prius?
As it's leaving, yes, you can see inside the Prius.
Okay, and what do you see?
You see two occupants, passenger, kind of fidgety, wearing a white shirt.
What about the driver?
Not able to see the driver clearly.
What about in the back seat?
Not able to see the back seat.
And is it a short sleeve shirt or a long sleeve shirt?
I was not able to tell.
Was there an emblem or a logo on the white shirt?
I was not able to see that.
Were you able to see the face of the person wearing the white shirt?
No, sir.
Could you tell if the person that was wearing the white shirt had a tattoo?
No, sir.
Could you tell if the person in the white shirt was holding anything?
No, sir.
How long do you see the image of the person wearing this white shirt?
Roughly about 5 to 10 seconds.
Now, 5 to 10 seconds is enough time. You would agree with me. Let's just go ahead and do it right now. So 5 seconds is starting now. That's about 5 seconds, correct? And during this time period, you say you see someone in the passenger seat wearing a white shirt.
Yes,
Are you able to make any kind of other descriptive, let me finish, sir, descriptive observations of this person in the passenger seat?
No, sir.
Now, this is which bus line?
This is going to be the Dogwood route, which is now currently the K route.
So the routes have changed since 2014 till currently,
Yes.
sir? Thank you. Now, is there another video that you see the Prius in, or is it just that one?
Well, it's the two separate buses. It's all on that one disc.
Okay. Now, one bus, as you said, captures it going one way, and the other bus captures it going another way, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in one video, you're unable to see, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you agree with me that in one video, you're unable to make any determination as to any of the occupants of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And in another one, it's your testimony for 5 to 10 seconds, you see something that appears to be a white shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
But no other specific factors that you can determine, right? You can't
No,
really
sir.
see anything else. To your knowledge, were you shown pictures of the video?
No.
So you were just shown the video itself, correct?
Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, and this video itself is the original video with the original picture that you saw, correct? It hasn't been modified or enhanced in any way to your knowledge?
It's been enhanced.
It has been enhanced. What does that mean?
They took, it was, because it's two separate videos.
Uh-huh.
They made it into one video, and they've added, in our system, we can't add circles or to highlight anything, and they add some highlights to the vehicle.
So let's go over what that means.
We're talking to the witness.
Yes, sir, I am.
So you can go ahead.
Let's talk about what that means. The video footage, the original footage, was taken and altered, correct?
Yes.
And was it altered by your company, or was it altered by the prosecution?
It was not altered by Star Metro.
Okay, so that means it was altered by the prosecution?
Yes, sir.
So this video itself, the one that we're going to show the members of the jury, the one that you have your signature on, is this the original or is this the altered video?
That is not the original,
So that means this is what?
the altered video.
No further questions.
No crossover, but if we could come
Redirect. What?
if we could come sidebar for objection.
Okay. All right, we'll take 10 minutes.